Have you lost your job? Have you lost a loved one? Are you exhausted caring for your parents, for your kids? Well, you can find immediate relief when you read SHEILAMAC's new #1 bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps. It contains the Boots formula to move from rock bottom back into action in any situation, especially right now. If life has knocked you down, pick yourself up with Bootstraps and Bra Straps. Get your copy at www.sheilamac.com today.
Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the SHEILAMAC Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's kcaaradio. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
Welcome to the SHEILAMAC Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and your life on your terms. Here I have special guest today, UDO'S, and he is of UDO'S Oil. Udo is a pioneer of the health and wellness industry, having created flax oil and the healthy fats movement. He is also the co-founder of the Udo's Choice supplement brand, a global leader in cutting-edge health products, having sold tens of millions of bottles of healthy oils, probiotics, and digestive enzymes. Udo is an accomplished author, including Fats That Heal, Fats That Kill, and has sold over 250,000 copies worldwide. Udo has extensive education in biochemistry and biology, a master's degree in counseling and psychology from Adler University, and has impacted over 5 million lives by passionately conducting 5,000 plus live presentations, 3,000 plus media interviews, and 1,500 staff trainings, traveling over 40 plus countries with his message on how to achieve perfect health. All right, welcome to the show, Udo.
Oh, hi, Sheila.
Hi. And you know, this show actually started once my new book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation, came out just this year. And I wrote it before the pandemic, and it was released during the pandemic. And we've all been hit with such serious, tough times over this last year, and we've had to do a lot of reboots. So I'd love for you to maybe start by sharing a time in your business and personal life where you had a tough situation and how you got back on track.
3 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Marriage broke up. I was really upset. 3 little kids, and it was a tough breakup. And because I was upset, I wanted to kill something. And I had a pesticide applicator's license that I had written an exam for in a gardening job that I had.
Wow.
So I took a full-time job as a pesticide sprayer.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really careless. I got poisoned. I was really careless. I walked through over the lawns. I sprayed barefoot until the skin peeled off my feet, and I started wearing rubber boots. But I was vain and I wanted to have a tan, so I sprayed in a bathing suit and rubber boots. Had a tractor with a big tank, and so I was spraying the stuff, and the wind would drift it on my back. And somebody said to me, "Aren't you worried you're going to get poisoned?" And I said, "Nah, I'm immune." Just like. Poisoned by my own testosterone, I think they call it. And 3 years of doing that, and I got poisoned by the pesticides I sprayed. So I went to the doctor and said, "What do you have for pesticide poisoning?" She said, "Nothing."
Oh.
And at that point, a penny dropped. Oh my God, my health is my responsibility. And I knew quite a bit about biochemistry and how the body works, biological sciences. And I knew that every year, your body gets rebuilt 98%. So 98% of the atoms in your body today will have been removed and replaced if you and I meet 1 year from now. And what that means is, first of all, the body is a major construction site, but it also means that healing is possible. Because if something goes wrong with the body, then I can say, okay, if I raise my standard for the food I take in, for the water I drink, for the air I breathe, so I raise that standard, and in 1 year, I will have rebuilt my body to 98% to a higher standard. And then I was like, okay, but what exactly do I need to do? So with the background I had, I went into the research journals, figured out how it all works: nutrition and health, disease and health, nutrition and health, nutrition and illness, all of that.
Right.
And out of that then came a whole new thing. You know, I mean, I couldn't do the job anymore. I was 38 years old. If I walked around a city block, I had to rest. I had cramps, nausea, dizziness. If I turned my head, it felt like my head turned, but my brain didn't. Obviously, that doesn't happen, but that's what it felt like. And no energy. I was like an 80-year-old man, if had to rest all the time. And what was beautiful about it, I mean, looking back, it wasn't beautiful when it happened, right? But looking back, it just cut something off. It was the end of something, because there was no way to not end it. If it was up to me, I say, well, I'll still spray next week, and maybe I'll just do a couple other stupid things, and but this thing is like, it just hammered me. I couldn't. I lived with my mother at that point. I moved in with my mother because I was sick. She was getting old. She had a stroke while I was living with her, so I was able to help her. So a lot of really beautiful things happen when you look at it. It's like magic. But something had to stop me, because we have momentum, right? And then something stops the momentum, and then we don't like it because we have the momentum, and it's like we're addicted to the momentum, and like for me, it's like it was so beautiful because it happened one day and it was done. And there wasn't any, oh, maybe I could go back and rebuild, and maybe now I could wear gloves, and maybe, it was just done. And that opened the door, because all my time was now free. First of all, to focus on what I needed to do for health, which is a really good thing. And I had to start something completely from scratch. And on the one hand, it's hard. And on the other hand, it's an incredible blessing when that happens sometimes.
That does sound incredible. Wow. What a story. And what a journey. That must have been really difficult to have to leave something that was providing for you in one respect, and then not have your health to actually do much of anything anyway.
Yeah.
And having to rebuild.
Yeah.
So,
but you could also say, and I think this is more likely, is I was not working up to my capacity. That was easy. I wasn't looking for, where can I make a great difference or anything. But that stopped me, and that got me to a place where then I started learning. I got stuck on oils because it was the most confusing area. Then I found, the year after I got poisoned, I found out that omega-3s are also essential. That means you can't make them. You got to have them. They have to be brought in from outside. If you don't get enough, your health goes down. You actually fall apart. Wow. If you don't get enough long enough, you die. These are the essential building blocks for body construction that life has to have in order to build a body that works. And then if you're falling apart because you're not getting enough, but then before you die, you bring enough of this too low ingredient back into your diet, then all the problems that come from not getting enough are reversed, because life knows what to do to build a body that works, provided I take responsibility right here to make sure all the essential building blocks land in the body so life can do that job. That's what it meant. And then it was like, oh my, and then their oils, they're super sensitive to damage by light, by oxygen, by heat. So they're like perishable goods. Everybody wants products with a long shelf life. This one you got to take care of. But when I realized how incredibly powerful they are, because they have a function in every cell in the body, it was like, if we could make omega-3s with health in mind, 99% of the population doesn't get enough for optimum health. If we could bring it back into the diet, make it with health in mind, and use it properly, we could help so many people. Did the research. I said, this is something that costs no money. I didn't have any money, right? Because the pesticide job was not a high-paying job or anything. So I didn't have any money, but I had time. And so I said, okay, I can't work with this guy to make the oils. I can't, I don't have another job. I'm going to do the research. I'm going to write the book. What I'm learning about health is stuff that in all of my university, I never learned. I didn't talk about the practical stuff. And then as that, of course, started a whole thing. Then I was really shy because I came out of a war and I was always, I never liked to look at more than 2 eyeballs at a time. So the guy who published the book, he said, would you like to give a talk on oils? And it was 4 months away. I said, okay. And it came closer and I said, should have said no. Oh no, I'm going to find a reason not to go. I'm just not going to show up. I was like, I'm just really freaking out because I was really shy.
When I first met you, you were on stage. I think Tony Robbins had introduced you and the oils in his UPW or one of his events about health and fitness and wellness.
Yeah.
And there were thousands of people.
Yeah. But I'm present. And presence, I think, is more important than butterflies.
Yes, in service. That does make all the difference when you're in contribution.
Yeah.
For the purpose.
Well, if it's just about me, it's like, that's vulnerable.
It almost sounds to me like, your story is so incredible. There you were getting rid of bugs, spraying chemicals everywhere.
Yeah.
It just wasn't aligning. Life wasn't working in different ways. The relationship broke up. There were so many signs. So if you're listening in right now and you're thinking, why is this not working? Why is this so hard? This is too difficult. It may be that you are not living your purpose, or you're being guided somehow, whatever science or spirituality, whatever you believe, there's something greater to do in contribution on the planet that will actually bless you and your family and everybody so much more than whatever you're stuck in right now. Maybe you stopped this year, and it's the same idea. It's because there's a greater good that's going to show up.
Yeah, it's like in a way, it's like, well, what am I capable of? Right? And most of us are capable of a lot more than we've jumped on. Right?
Yes.
But you do your best work when you're living to full capacity, when you're really giving what is your gift. And the deeper you go and the more present you become in your own being, the more gifts you have and the more elegantly you learn to give them. And then it's just practice. Get better and get better. It's very interesting. Considering from shy. I like books because books are safe. I didn't feel safe as a kid in the war. The communists chasing us from behind, and the allies, the good guys, were actually using us as target practice.
Oh my God.
Women and young children from planes, air artillery. And it was crazy. It was like fear, anxiety, terror, hunger. I just remember those feelings and didn't know what I could count on, didn't know what I could trust. That was, this is probably not a good place to raise children. In a flight between crossfire, right? And very early in my life, I listened to people argue, adults argue. And I would listen to it and I said, that's so trivial. Why are they arguing? And it occurred to me one day when I listened to yet another argument. It's like, there must be a way that people can live in harmony. And then like the little 6-year-old kid that I was, who doesn't know how complicated everything is, I said, and I'm going to find out how.
Beautiful.
And that has been my driver all my life.
That's incredible. And I think that happens to all of us in one way or another. Now, coming from going through that whole war experience and everything growing up, so how was the universal pause, the corona lockdowns, how did that affect you? Or did it, or what was it?
Well, yeah, there are three issues. There's a pro-vax and there's an anti-vax, but there's a third part, and I like that part. So my question in this situation, just like my question in all situations, what can I do that gives me the best chance to be able to deal with whatever comes at me?
Right.
This year it's something, and next year it'll be something else, and the year before it was something else. There's always something, some emergency, some crisis, some thing that is, oh my God, what's that? It's new, we don't know what it is. And so for me, the focus is always, how can I make this the strongest, the most capable, the most competent it can possibly be? And whether you're talking about virus or a fungus or a bacteria or rabid dogs or crazy people, or, it doesn't matter what it is you're talking about. Who do I need to be comfortable within myself and within my power and within my strength to be able to deal with what comes at me? So for me, because I do a lot of self-presencing, because the power is inside.
Right.
But most of us live mostly with our awareness out there somewhere or in here. But the power is in here. So what does it take to be in my power? And I spend a part of every day asking that question and answering that question experientially. Every day, just like I go to the bathroom and I go to breakfast and I wash the dishes, I take time to just be with myself. It's a practice, right? And the more you do that, the better you get at it. Just like learning any skill, just like learning to walk, you didn't fall down and say, okay, walking's not for me, right?
It is definitely a skill. I remember going on a trip with the Tony group to India and doing meditations. And I had been rear-ended by a car on the freeway the day before my trip. So when I was in the emergency room, I told the doctor, please give me a note. I know I'm okay, but just give me a note so that I can get up, because they're going to make me sit a lot. And it was really because I didn't think I could sit and meditate for long periods of time. I'm a little bit overactive and, I want to go get things done.
Yeah. And we're doers. We're supposed to be human beings, but we've become human doings.
Exactly.
And I say, if you do, you turn into do.
You're right. Right.
Being is actually more important than doing, because you can be without doing, but you can't do without being.
Yes.
So being is the foundation. And when you're not on your foundation, you're actually living without foundation. Everything becomes more difficult.
It does. And it took me a couple days to settle into those meditations.
Yeah.
And I have been meditating
pretty fast.
I don't know, 2012 maybe that I went for the first time. I've been meditating every day since. And this is bizarre. Okay, for the doer part of me, and I have this whole saying, and all I'm doing, it's who I'm being. No matter how I show up, it's who I'm being and all I'm doing. But that part of me, I get more done. I'm more productive, and I have success in life because I take that time off to renew and to recharge my battery. It's like counterintuitive. It doesn't make sense to anyone that's a type A listening in right now. They're like, that's impossible. How can I take an hour off, a half an hour, 20 minutes? No way.
And get more done.
You do. It's wild.
It does. It makes complete sense, because when I sit still, I actually discover what's within me, my intuition, my insights. I organize my day in my head while I'm doing nothing, because it's not like I'm totally doing nothing. It's not like, and everything is clear. And I waste less time going back and remember, I go from here to here to here to here, instead of going from here to there and then to there and then to there and then to there. So I'm actually more efficient even though I have less time for doing, because I took the time for getting solid, getting organized, not wasting, my time in head trips or in reactions to things that happen that are not helpful to where I'm trying to go. And when I'm calm inside, there's a lot gets done.
Yes.
Without not that much effort, without much effort.
Yeah, that could be, whether that's for those listening in, it may be that you're taking a walk in nature, or you're doing a meditation, prayer practice, whatever it is for you, that it's that time to really renew, to rejuvenate your mind. Like, we exercise our body, we exercise properly. We've got to take time for our mind as well.
And our heart.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Because when I do that inward journey, the most beautiful experience that it is possible for me to have is waiting inside already for me to discover it. Mm-hmm. And nobody else can experience it and enjoy that for me. So if I don't, it's a wasted gift. This is a gift life gave me to enjoy. You can't enjoy it for me. Mm-hmm. Nobody else can. So the idea of, oh, that's selfish. Oh, you shouldn't. No. This was given to me for the only purpose to feel it and to enjoy it.
Like life just kept showing you, hey, I'm going to keep tapping you on the shoulder until you listen, because I've got a secret for you that I want you to share with so many people to help.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that.
So yeah, it's a...
What was your healing like? I mean, you changed your life, you changed your diet, you started with the oils, you did a whole bunch of research and studies. What was that journey like for you? I mean, obviously you don't like drink some oil or take something and then the next morning you wake up and you're like, boom, I'm 20 years younger. Hello. So it took time. What was that process like?
I did a lot, and I became really interested because now I had a practical problem to deal with, and I talked to people who knew more than I did. Mm-hmm. So I learned a lot, and I tried all kinds of stuff. I mean, I did some fasting, and I did some sweating, and I started taking certain supplements. All of this I wasn't doing. I was eating reasonably well because we ate lots of, I used to go to work with a cabbage. That was my lunch. That's just a cabbage. Right?
Oh my!
Like the brother, what is it called? The Brother from Another Planet. Mm-hmm. There's a movie, isn't it, right? And the guy literally, he's walking down the street carrying a cabbage. That would be me. So I wasn't eating really badly, but I started really looking at the details. And I didn't even start with oils because that took 6 years to get that together. That just became really interesting to me because nobody was addressing it. So it was like a place where I could bring my energy to bear and create something that had never been done. But there were lots of other people looking at various parts of nutrition. So I was very interested. And literally, I'm interested in anything that makes quality of life better. And some of it is physical through food and water and air. Mm-hmm. Some of it is about becoming still inside and feeling what it feels like to be alive, and where your wholeness lives deep in the core of your being. There's a wholeness that is like, if you're not there, then you're longing for it. To be fully present in all of that and not lost in thoughts and trips and memories in my head. When I can be that present, life becomes easy because you're there for whatever shows up. That's why presence is such a cool thing. It's not just, oh God, here they come again, or oh God, do I always have to do this thing? And oh God, they beat me up when I was a kid, and oh God, I still can't get over it. And I understand that like we get stuck on those things, but it's possible to get unstuck from all of that and live in the richness of a God-given life.
Yes.
That is an incredible present for every human being. Mm-hmm. And the degree to which we have hardship depends on some on the outside, depending where we are. But to a large extent, how we are able to process the hardships depends on how deep inside we're willing to go. Because There is no hardship in awareness, and there is no hardship in life energy, and there is no hardship in inspired creativity.
That's
And that exists in every human being who's going through bad times. That exists in them too. So deal with the bad times, but give some time to the good times that live within you, that have never been affected by anything, and that will never be affected, and that are a rich gift for you. At the same time, you're having to deal with some things that are uncomfortable.
That's some wisdom. That is beautiful. Our body will tell us. Sometimes we think an illness or some kind of feeling is bad, and it's really a gift if we listen and say, how can we correct this quickly? How can we do this the right way and check for the health? What do we need to change at any age when our body shows up with a little message? What is it really telling us? What do we need to adjust in our physical, in our environment?
Yeah, pain is really cool that way. Pain is a gift, because what pain does, it tells you something needs to change. It tells you something, you need to pay attention to something that you're not paying attention to or doing. But pain doesn't tell you what it is exactly. It just wakes you up. It just makes you alert. And then you get, whether you read a book or you go to the library or you go to Google or you talk to a doctor or you talk to some friends, but then you start looking for what could it be. And the moment that you address what needs to be addressed, once you've figured it out, then the pain goes away. Yeah. What a gift.
Right.
If we didn't have pain, we would never make corrections. So and so the idea of saying, well, I have some pain, but I shouldn't feel it. No. You have pain, pay attention, right? Same when your heart aches. People say, a lot of drug addicts, they have an ache in their heart. They're famous for it. Something's not right here. Something's not right here. And whether you call that heartache or blues or loneliness or longing or striving or emptiness or restlessness or longing or loss or grief or sadness or, it just goes on. It goes on and on. I have 10 pages of words that people call this uncomfortable feeling in their chest. I tell them this is the greatest gift you have other than being alive, because it's your heart calling your awareness to come back home inside to its source in life, in you. And when you bring your awareness here, and it takes a little practice to get good at it, because we're really good at going out, not so good at going in, because we don't practice that much. But when you bring that practice home, pain goes away, and you end up in peace, in bliss, in unconditional love, feeling it right where you are. And we tend to use this as a driver for doing all kinds of external things with the unconscious or subconscious hope that when I succeed in the thing I set out to do, then I'll feel okay again. And then it doesn't happen, because you go 3 days, you accomplish the thing. Yeah, I did it. 3 days. And then this thing is back.
It's over. Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, well, maybe I didn't think about big enough, or maybe it was the wrong direction. And then you set it up again. And again, there's the hope. Yeah, but when I get it done, this time it'll really. No, the disconnect is internal, and the reconnect has to be internal. That will nag us. That thing nags us until we pay attention to it. Nags us. We try to distract ourselves from it, or we ignore it, or we deny it, or we blame it on something or somebody. Pretty much what we do with that. No. This is a natural thing for every human being. Trees don't need that. Dogs don't need that. But human beings, this is a part of the journey of going out, getting to know the world, and coming back home, and then learning to live at home, present, at home, and in the world at the same time.
Wow, that is so incredible. And I think that was a time, I can't even tell you when it happened for me, when I realized that happiness, that joy, that success, whatever you want to call that I was seeking, it doesn't come from a person, place, or thing outside of me. It comes from me.
It's a state of being. It's a state of being built into you, being built in from the beginning.
And I get to own that. No, but I don't give my power or control over to a circumstance. Right. Circumstances are difficult sometimes. Things happen that we don't like, that out of our control. And that choice to stay with that beingness and to live in that and have happiness. And it's so interesting because when I made that switch in my life, I attracted happy people, happier. I mean, like, happy things keep showing up because like, I want whatever you have. I don't know what it is, but I want that. Sometimes people will say, but you're happier when, and I'll say, no, wait, yes, I'm always working on improving myself and all that, but I'm going to be happy right now, today, and grateful for this present moment. And then I'm going to improve and work on things because that's part of life too, but I'm going to enjoy the happiness now.
Yeah, because it's a state of being that is built in and requires no conditions. It's not conditional.
Yeah.
You know, love is not, life loves the body unconditionally. 24/7, 365. Love. And love is what we are, or life, the energy, comes from the sun, solar energy, goes in green leaves, gets stuck in bonds between molecules. Those are our food. We eat the food. We break the food down, the energy, sunlight energy, or solar energy release. That's our life. That's the life energy. That energy loves the body unconditionally. And we, in our essential individual nature, are that energy. So we say, well, you know, somebody says to me, oh, whose body is that? Oh, well, this is my body. I've just said I'm not the body. I'm actually the owner of the body, and life owns the body. And the more I can be in touch with that, the more I'm going to feel unconditional love as my state of being. And then it just automatically expands into how I live into the world.
Beautiful.
And also how I perceive the world. Right? Because if I'm angry, I'll see enemies. I'll create enemies in my perception. You know, if I'm fearful, I'll create danger in my perception. If I'm in peace, I just look around and say, oh my God, peace has always been everywhere. If I feel the state of being of that unconditional love, oh my God, my body has always been loved unconditionally by life. Day and night, never takes time off, never goes on strike, never complains, never punishes me, you know, if I'm mean to life, my life, right? Or ignore it or something. It's just always loving, 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 loving. It's like the sun shines. It's its nature. Love shines like that. Love loves the body like that because that is its nature. And that is our essential nature. Imagine 8 billion people knowing that and living in that state of being. Completely possible because we're wired for it.
Yes. And so much healing comes if you're in that state. It's a healthy state.
Yeah, there's no sickness in love.
None.
No, life energy never gets sick, never dies. Has no form. It's a flow. It's a flow. And it runs the whole show. It weighs nothing, but it runs the entire show. It's omnipresent, everywhere present in the body. Omniscient, knows everything in the body. Has to, because it's running it. Right? And omnipotent, all power in the body. Is life energy. When that becomes accessible, then you have a perspective on how big are the pains, because you compare it, because you always have them both. And then the pains become smaller, plus you do fewer things that create pain, right? Because you feel cared for. When you feel cared for, what's left to do? It's not about me anymore. How can I help? What needs to be done? How can I make the biggest splash for good in the time that I have in one body?
So many people that struggle through suffering and grieving, and you know, we've had our own grieving story with my youngest son passed away here, and through that experience, it was like our family got really into contribution and helping others through the pandemic and this and that happened almost at the same time. And it really was a blessing for us to be in service for others.
Mm-hmm.
It really made a difference. And we started with gratitude.
Yeah.
Day one, when everything happened, got the family together. I adopted 3 children. I have 3 of my own. So there's a big family. They're all grown, but these beautiful kids, and they're all heartbroken. And I says, we're going to talk about what we're grateful for. And it sounds ridiculous, because how could you be grateful in a loss? And we started learning to be grateful and bringing that into all the conversations. Sometimes we meet on the phone. It was so healing.
Mm-hmm.
And then to get out of our own sorrow and be able to help someone else was also part of the healing journey.
Yeah.
Yes. So it really was incredible.
Yeah, it makes complete sense, because even when you have sorrow,
Mm-hmm.
there are certain things that you have sorrow for.
Yeah.
And there are other things at the same time in your sphere of influence that it makes sense you would have gratitude for. And because you have one sorrow about one thing doesn't mean you got to be sorry about everything else either.
And nobody would want their loved ones to be sorry.
But will they be sorry? Of course.
Yes.
So you were talking about, well, how do you deal with the COVID and the lockdown? I have a little quip. I say, if you can't go outside, go inside.
My family and I decided from the beginning, we're going to get different views, and people will send messages, social media, for their beliefs, and one way or the other way, or this way or that way. And I thought, okay, think of it as your best friend or somebody that loves you, and they totally believe this, whatever is right.
Yeah.
They're trying to save you because they love you. But you realize they're sending you love. You don't have to watch the video. You don't have to believe what they believe. You can just give them love back, send them a heart back, and know that it came from love, even if maybe it wasn't the same belief or understanding, because love is all that there is. And then you don't have to worry about it all. And it got rid of all the anxiety for everyone in the house. We're just, it's just love. They're just sending us love.
Yeah. And then the other part of that for me is
I want to get into maybe a share for people that are looking to maybe start using the oils or get back into wellness, get your books, maybe some information about that they can.
So what I was going to say is that I'm also okay with the fact that one day my body is going to wear out, because that's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is a terminal condition. I'm going to take the best care I can of it. One day something will take me out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay with that as well. Right. So in terms of oils and all of that, number one, why I like oils. First of all, they need a lot of care.
Mm-hmm.
Light, oxygen, and heat damage them. They need a lot of care. They're the most sensitive of our essential nutrients. We give them the least care. So more health problems come from damaged oils than any other part of nutrition. And more health benefits come from getting oils made with health in mind, with both essential fatty acids in the right balance, properly packaged in glass, not plastic, and refrigerated in the factory, in the store, and at home, and not used for frying. Mm-hmm. So this is a different way of doing oils, but we're talking about the parts that come from fats that are absolutely essential in your body for your health. And I take a tablespoon per 50 pounds of body weight per day. So it's usually 2 to 4 tablespoons for most people. Mm-hmm. Mixed in food, intake spread out over the course of the day. Because if you took a whole glob of it on an empty stomach, your liver has to deal with it. Okay. And if you exceed your liver capacity, then it'll make you heavy, tired, or nauseous. That's your liver telling you, don't give me so much, so quick. And so if you mix it in food and spread it out over the course of the day, you get better absorption of oil-soluble nutrients. You get better flavors because oils enhance flavors. Mm-hmm. And they, because they're the most widespread essential nutrient deficiency and every cell needs them, they're good for your cardiovascular system. They're good for your muscles. They're good for your bones. They're good for your brain. They're good during pregnancy because those oils are required for brain development. And when a woman is pregnant, she needs to build 2 brains, maintain one and build another one. Yeah. Very important. And when people don't get enough, they think it's the reason why women get more chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, depression, allergies, autoimmune diseases, and they make hormones work more effectively at the cell receptor level. They make everything more efficient. They can increase energy and stamina by 40 to 60%. They speed healing. They're required for healing, required for liver function, kidney function. They make your hair and nails grow about 25% faster and grow better, so the nails don't split and all of that. They're required for vision. It was really cool when we started bringing that back. People saw systematically or consistently saw results. And that made it really easy to do first of all, it feels good when you hear, oh, somebody got benefit from it.
Right.
But the word got around because people told other people.
Nice.
It was just because we took the care at the front end. So we didn't have a mess at the back end that we needed to deal with. So a lot of care went into it. It's like, we call it anal care, very detail oriented. And we made decisions of how we were going to treat it and who we would work with. And only if they took care of our precious oils would we do business with them. I mean, it was amazing. And I have no business background. I have science background. I had no business background. The factor that made that successful was enthusiasm. I was on fire. I said, oh my God, we could help so many people. And honestly, I ended up making day after day after day this business decision based on a commitment to a very particular outcome, because I understood how important that outcome was for the benefits that people could get from it. And that's what drove the whole thing. No business background. We didn't have any money either. We were just on fire. And then we took a tour, 101 days, 85 cities, 35 states, 17,000 miles by road in a van without air conditioning in July, August, half of June, half of September in the US, and slept on the floor of the van. That's where I slept. Had our clothes on the broomstick in the wheel inside the double doors. And every couple of days when we'd get really hot and sticky, we'd go to a Marriott, walk in like we owned it, and go to the showers and clean up. If they had a pool, we'd go swim in the pool, wash our clothes, hand wash them, wring them out, take them back, go back into the van, and then keep going. That's what we did for 101 days. And in 2 years, flax oil was the second highest selling oil in the natural foods industry, which is the place where we started, because that's where people used to start things that were unusual. And we charge 4 times more for the oil than people are used to paying for oil. No problem at all, because we told the story. The story was there. We had the enthusiasm. We didn't lie to people. We just told them what this is and where it belongs and why it makes sense. And we didn't try to push them to buy. We just told them. And if you tell the story appropriately, then people sell themselves if the story makes sense. Right? And my whole life I live in charm. I live in grace. I really feel like that. I'm not like a religious person this is the temple. This is the temple. God lives inside. Life lives inside. Everything the masters talked about is within every human being. Yes. All 8 billion of them. Doesn't matter what their story is. There are different ways that different masters talked about it. But life is the same. Awareness is the same. Inspiration is the same. God, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Awareness is Father. Physicists call it the field. Life energy, solar energy, the sun, light sun, but also the sun. Right. And I've had some experiences of those things as well. Science background and very, very deep spiritual experiences.
Yes.
And I like the experiences. I was like the mystics, the ones they actually had experiences. And then Holy Spirit inspired creativity. Right? So,
and it seems now that science and spirituality are connecting
Yeah, to me, there's no conflict between science and spirituality. I think science looks at everything from the outside, so-called objectively, and spirituality looks at everything from the inside. So you can look at what light looks like from the outside, but when you go inside, you become the light. So that's a subjective experience of the same thing that we know goes 186,000 miles an hour, a second, and whatever all those are, and that changes into different forms of energy, but can't be created or destroyed. Right? So we have some of that information, and those two fit together perfectly well. And the people, who worship the sun, it makes sense. That's where life comes from, the solar energy, right? Or they said there were spirits in the plants. Yeah, the energy in the plants is spirit, And then the people who said, yeah, but it's within you, and you need to dissolve in the light. Yeah, people. And I have this joke, all I need to do is I need to wear a good shirt and make sure I don't stand up in front of my computer while we're doing the interview. Right? So fundamentally, I used to spend two days flying to Malaysia, then a day to sort out what we needed to do. Then I would talk for 2 hours. Then I spent 2 more days coming back. So for a 2-hour talk to maybe 600 people,
right,
I would spend 5 days at least, right?
Oh my!
And now I can do something like this on every continent.
Yes.
In 1 day.
Exactly. Yes.
And never leave my home.
Isn't that nice?
And so for certain things, it's way more convenient to do it this way. I like eyeball to eyeball too, a lot. But in terms of getting the message out, this is more effective than anything that ever happened before COVID. And we've been forced to become more effective in our messaging. If we have a good message, that's a good thing.
Right. Well, thank you again for being a guest on the show, Udo. And for those listening, we'll be back after these messages.
And now it's time for Dear Sheila.
Dear Sheila, I struggle with really bad panic attacks. Sometimes it gets so bad that it gets triggered at work and I will have to leave because I can't stop crying. I can't live like this anymore. I'm thinking about trying medication because I want to get in control of my thoughts and my breathing. Because I've heard that meditation helps with anxiety. What do you think about that? What advice can you give me about meditation versus medication? And what techniques work best to conquer anxiety? Signed, Struggling to Breathe.
Dear Struggling to Breathe, panic attacks are some severe issues. Now, meditation is a huge help. However, I would definitely start with checking in with my doctor. And the reason I say that is because sometimes panic attacks can be a symptom of something else going on physically. So I would suggest that you go to your doctor, have them do a regular physical exam, and let them know what's going on. Was there something that triggered these attacks? Was there something that happened in your life? Did you hit a rock bottom event that you started to notice these panic attacks? Sometimes it could be that your vitamin D levels are severely low, or some other thing could be terribly off. It could be a medication that you're taking that's interacting with some other thing you're taking, or a food you're eating, and it's causing you to feel like you're having panic attacks. It could be hormones that are off. And so just rule those things out first. You can start meditation right away. Doesn't mean you have to wait for the doctor to start meditation, because meditation is something you could do at any time in your life. Could have been an auto accident. It could have been losing a loved one. Anything can cause panic attacks. And it could be that it reminded you of something that happened when you were really young, and then one little thing brings all that back, and then you start having these severe panic attacks. And once you have a panic attack, it makes you have physical symptoms. And so learning how to breathe when you meditate. When we meditate, we're learning how to slow ourselves down, how to breathe, and how to let go of the outside thoughts and go
into a place where we can just calm ourselves. So we're training our body and we're retraining our brain to think differently and get control of our thoughts, because that's a way to get control of these panic attacks. And there has been study after study that shows that meditation will help you overcome these panic attacks. So between your medical doctor, perhaps some therapy or other resources, depending on what was your trigger, and good meditation practice, you can overcome these panic attacks quickly and get back on track. I hope this helps. As always, I wish you life, love, laughter, and light.
I am wishing you all a happy and wonderful new year. During this week, we are focusing on wellness and how to bring more health, wealth, and life into our days this new year. Remember, your wellness fuels every part of your life.
If you are just tuning in, this is NBC's SHEILAMAC show here on kcaaradio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and I have some news for you. Yes, you. I'm celebrating my 3rd year now on the station and will be expanding the show to a global network as well. You may now find the SHEILAMAC show on all major podcasting channels, and if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, all the episodes are now available for viewing there as well. And I'm asking you for a quick favor. If you like the show, please help support the spread of this reboot channel on YouTube as well. My goal is to help as many people as possible through our interesting times to rebuild, reinvent, and reboot your business and personal life. I also wanted to share a little bit more about how I got here, what I do now, and how designing a business career and life on your terms is more than possible at any age or stage in life. I am an enterprisingly forward-thinking consultant, show host, and best-selling author. But how did I get here? Well, I began my career as an entrepreneur and property investment strategist back when I was 23 years young, when I boldly quit my government job with NASA JPL to open my first of 5 large gift stores while also starting to invest in property. I got to work with some of the world's most loved companies, such as negotiations on leases with Warner Brothers and winning trips to London as the top-selling Crabtree and Evelyn provider in the U.S. for multiple years. My stores were built on heart as I gave back to the community I came from. So now, some of you know this and some of you don't know this, but as a young girl with parents who were not well enough to care for me, I was homeless at age 10, then in foster care, where it was really hard to get a job while in the system. I finally emancipated at the age of 15 to start college early. While running my stores, I worked with a government program. Back then, it was called Job Training Partnership Act, making my stores an open source training site where close to 200 at-risk youth started their careers. Yes, I began my career helping business leaders and working professionals to design a life they love where they can have success in their careers and get to the business of life. See, a funny thing happened along the way. When I first opened my gift store, it was kind of crazy because I was this young upstart. That's what a lot of the store owners called me. My first store was in Montrose, California, in this sweet little hometown shopping park with other stores and restaurants nearby. And so I was the young upstart that didn't know what she was doing. At least that's what everybody said. And I didn't really care what they said. At that age, you know, their opinion was like, I don't really care. So that was probably a really good thing because I stayed focused on what I needed to do. And I had negotiated to lease out a 5,000 square foot gift store that needed a lot of work, and I got free rent and for about 6 months, and I had to start making the rent, which was $5,000 a month, which was a lot of money back then, $1 a square foot. And so I had to learn and relearn. I finally did hire quite soon in the game. I did hire a marketing expert, branding expert, I guess back then. And that lady really helped me to figure things out when I first started. And when you first start a business, especially when you're young, it was like I had no idea what to do, but I needed to learn because my rent was going to start coming due every month. And over that time, I started having more success. I did crazy things, like stayed open until almost midnight every night, along with the restaurants who were very close to my store, while everybody else closed shop at about 5 or 6 p.m. So I was making more money from the start, and I just really, my store was to help my kids, and the products I sold was whatever the community wanted. I sold lots of things to people in the entertainment industry. I worked with cruise ships. I worked with many different people in the community. And later on, the store owners actually came to me and asked me if I would consult them and help them. I actually started buying my other buildings because I didn't like the idea of paying rent for years and years and years and not building equity. So I did get my real estate license through that and invested and bought my other 4 store buildings. And lots of the other store owners worked with me, paid me to consult and help them do what I was doing. And I didn't really even know it was called consulting. I just knew how to figure it out, I guess. And so that's how I started my career. And now, you know, I raised 6 children, all that, and now they're grown. And so I get to come to work every day and do what I naturally do best as an enterprising and forward-thinking business leader. Through my show, courses, and live events, I guide entrepreneurs and working professionals like you through the profitable steps of building a business, creation to expansion, marketing from planning to implementation, wealth preservation through strategic planning, and yes, real estate investing, and lifestyle design so that you can earn more while getting back to the business of living your best life. So I do invite you to tune in here to KCAA Radio, and also I would really appreciate it if you went to my YouTube channel, SHEILAMAC Show, and gave a subscribe and a listen to some of your favorite shows. And I do have some other exciting things, including a free gift to thank you. So if you go to www.sheilamac.com, that's SHEILAMAC, sheilamac.com, there you can get a free gift to get started on your reboot this year. And now, back to the show. Tune in again right here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.